it aims at being able to put yourself after you have solved the problem, and that usually gives you the energy to really go and solve it. Like if you're a student and you have your final exams and you cannot start to study, if you imagine yourself having crossed the Rubicon, and then you see yourself on the other side and you say, hey, I can do it. That's so. If you ask me now about the objective of the exercise, that's what I'm going to tell you.
Okay, so the objectives are to try and put, so this is so a team or a group of people have a particular shared problem.
Well, no. It doesn't have to be the same problem. For instance, I've used this with many large change management programs, projects. Let's talk about an SAP implementation that I'm working with a team of 20 people, 15 people. They all have different problems. Problems of relationship with their bosses, or with not having enough time to complete the tasks, or they don't know how to do them, and they just want to see themselves what it would feel like having done them. So I don't do this exercise with a group of people I do not know at all. If somebody calls me and they say, we want to do an exercise, a 1 hour exercise just to learn a little bit about this, I'll say no. If I work with a company and I know the people and I know the managers, I have to ask or bring them myself mats so people can lie down and relax. And in some companies, in Chile, I don't do this exercise because they are very uptight. They are, and they look at me like, are you nuts? I'm going to lose my and take off my shoes and lie down. And I go, yes. And they look at me like, we're not going to do this. So, in Brazil, they are expecting that, basically.
Really? Really?
Oh, yeah. The stereotype of the Brazilian is true. I mean, you know that every roster in Brazil, even at a large company, it doesn't go by last name, it goes by first name. So if you have 100 people called Antonio as a first name, so you go Antonio and then the last name, Antonio, you go crazy finding a person. They are very easygoing.
What, so a workshop in Brazil wouldn't be a workshop if they didn't take off their shoes and lie down at some point?
No, a meeting wouldn't be a meeting if they take off their shoes. Then a workshop is a little more. But I'm exaggerating a little bit.
Yeah, of course.
I mean, the objective of the exercise is to get people to feel that they have achieved something that they think it's difficult, but that they can do it. For instance, a student that has to pass an important exam, a manager that doesn't know how to lead his people or her people, or he or she is starting to be a manager, an employee who has problems with deadlines, any kind of problems. And we are talking here only about office issues. This can also be used for interpersonal things or for personal issues. I even do it in a company that goes more into therapy, psychotherapy. But this is the same technique adapted from psychotherapy. So this is ideal for about 8 to 15 people. Less than 8, we do not get enough group dynamics to have a good discussion afterwards. And people are a little more shy. When you share something with 3 other people, you feel a little more observed than when there are 15 people. So I know it's a paradox, but it works that way. More than 15 people, I would only do it with somebody else who helps me direct the discussion. Or we might, if we have 20 people, I would have an assistant and then break up the discussion into 2 groups and then all together at the end for a few minutes.
Is that to give everyone enough time to say their bit? What's the reason for that limit?
No, not everybody will be compelled to talk. But you might have, out of 12 people, 5, 6, 7 who will want to talk, and some of them will talk for 5 or 10 minutes. It's quite simple. Uh, we tell people what the objective of the exercise is. We ask if anybody does not want to participate. The only element that we require are mats, like the ones you use in gyms, the
like
thin one.
like a yoga mat type thing.
Yeah. So people can lie down. Uh, I mean, if there is a nice carpet, you don't need. You can do it without mats. Here, most offices don't have carpets, so we take mats with us. We tell people what we'll do. We ask them if we can ask them in advance. We ask them to bring comfortable clothing. But anything will do. If they have a tie, we'll ask them to just loosen it a bit. And we start with relaxation. Any known method of relaxation will work. Just breathing very deeply into your abdomen, basically, and following your breathing is enough. If you don't know any other ways of relaxing people, ask them to breathe and to just follow the air inside and out for about 10 or 15 minutes, and you get people relaxed. Other methods are the sensory one, for instance, where we ask questions. We tell them we don't want answers, don't raise your hand, close your eyes, let yourself go, and try to feel what I'm telling you. Can you taste the strawberry? Can you smell the sea? Can you feel the sun on your skin? Things that all of us have experienced. And once you feel it, you cannot pay attention to your surroundings, so therefore you're relaxing. Another method that I like a lot and can be used for many things, it's what we call cleaning your mind. This comes from Eugene Gendlin's book, Focusing, which is a very good book. And the method is you just imagine that you're inside your mind with a big garbage bag, and for everything, every idea, every preoccupation you have, you just take it. You pick it up from your mind like if it was a piece of crumpled paper, and you put it in the bag. Everything. You don't think about them. You don't look at them. You just pick them up. You'll get them all back later. Don't kid yourself. All your preoccupations will go back to you in half an hour, but not now. And just put them in the bag and try to make some space in your mind. We do it for 3, 4 minutes, and 99% of 95% of people are able to do it. Other methods is just lie down and feel the difference between those parts of your body that are touching the mat or the ground or the floor, whatever, and those that are not. For instance, your neck is probably not touching the ground unless you have a pillow. The back of your knees is probably not touching, etc. And you play with that. You say, well, feel one, feel the other, and let them blend. Just let your body be one with the floor. And this works incredibly well. Some people fall asleep, which is wonderful because they keep listening to you unless they snore. In that case, you go and you go and you touch their shoulder and say, you're snoring. And they move a little bit and they stop snoring or don't fall asleep again because they're too self-conscious. Once we have people relaxed, we ask them to concentrate, to think about the issue that is concerning them. Actually, I have asked before we started, just pick one issue, a final exam, a deadline with your boss, having to give a talk in front of 400 people, whatever the issue is, you choose it before we start the exercise. So then think about it a little bit. I give them a minute or two in silence. And then I do a little bit more of relaxation. Whatever method or methods I used before, I use them again for 2 to 5 minutes. And then I say, I want you to picture yourself after you're able to conquest this hurdle. If it is an exam you have approved, if it's a talk You can hear the applause. You have finished giving the talk, and it worked very well. I guide them through being on the other side, and that's not enough. I have to ask them to be able to relax and feel the elation, the happiness, the uh, lightness you feel when you know that you are on the other side. I let them stay with that for a couple of minutes, and then very slowly I bring them back. I tell them that we'll come back here, we'll discuss it, that they can take a few minutes to come out of the happy state of relaxation. Uh, Usually there are one or two people who takes them a little longer. So I tell them, well, start moving your limbs, your legs, your arms, open your eyes, raise your head, sit down, sit up, etc., etc. And finally, when I have them all, um, they smile. They look at each other and they smile. 100% of the cases. And I say, who wants to start? Let's do a group discussion. Maybe we sit in chairs or we stay on the floor. And the discussion has to concentrate on uh, basically what it takes to get there, how good they felt, what do they need to do, why they weren't able to do it. I mean, the more you know the people, the deeper you can go. If you know them, you've been working with them for 2 weeks, once a week, going for change management of an IT implementation project, you will not go that deep. You'll say, well, what did it feel to having your problem solved? And they'll tell you. I usually tell them that it's not compulsory to talk. There are introverts, shy people, timids who don't want to talk. And what I say is, you didn't do anything out of the ordinary. Sometimes when we get stuck with a problem, we think we cannot solve it, and therefore we cannot solve it. And the more we put it off, the more we get worried about it, and we know that we are lagging behind, and it's just, snowball.
Yeah,
And
so you're trying to break the cycle of negativity then, aren't you?
exactly, exactly.
That's great. No, sorry, go on, I interrupted you.
No, and that's the end of the exercise. And it's good if people have now 10 or 20 minutes to have a cup of tea or a cup of coffee before they go back to work. Usually I do this at work, so in the middle of the day. Sometimes it's a weekend that we had a special day. But if it's at work, I say, well, take 15, 20 minutes, just talk or whatever, and then go back to work. And it works. That's it.
And so, okay, so they pictured, they felt the emotion of having the problem solved. What do they then? How does that move them forward? What do they then do differently as a result of having gone through this that hopefully makes that solution more solvable? Are they more constructive with each other, or?
Well, first of all, let's start from the premise that their problems have a solution. In most cases at work, they do. So you can pass the exam, you can give a talk in front of 400 people, you can face your boss, you can finish the task you have to do. You know, probably, because if you've been hired there, you know that you can do it, you know how to do it. You just didn't have enough oomph to start it. So knowing that you can actually feel that you've done it, you have to go back to your own technical resources to do it. Find the time or make the time. I have to code some program here, and I know it will take me about 20 hours of work. So I set myself a deadline in a week, and I'll do it 4 hours a day. And what you find out is it doesn't take you 20 hours, it takes you 16 or less because you're really motivated. You get home and maybe you work for an hour or you write down ideas. So basically, then it's work. It's hard work. You have to do it. There is no magic to it. It's that you feel that you can do it. You broke the cycle of negativity, as you said, and and then you have to go and do it. There is a hardcore of procrastinators who will not. I would say that, I mean, I'm making up the number, but 90 or 95% of people who go through this exercise will be able to do what they have to do. And the other 5 or 10%, now they know that they can do it and they don't want to do it. And then their bosses will decide what to do with these people. How do you motivate them or push them to go and do the thing? But if you've been in SAP implementations or large projects like mergers, acquisitions, moving a company to another town, and you want people, some of the people to go with you, there are many fears. There are many new things that you have to do. There are many new definitions. And this exercise make people have trust in themselves and know that the company is supporting them. And they went to the lengths of hiring somebody to do this and tell you, we know where you are not alone, and we'll help you.
I love the simplicity of this. I think, and I love the idea that it's basically giving someone the taste of success without them having to do too much hard work to get it, and then it just gives them the okay. Well, I felt what it could be like. I just need to get on and do it now, and I think I can see why it works. I mean, but it is incredibly simple, right? It's I can imagine. I can imagine it being quite difficult to run the first time because it's definitely on the, there's not too much hard process about it. It's very, very soft. It's very, very gentle. So to be able to facilitate it well, you have to be very confident in the end result. Do you have any can you remember when the first time was that you ran it and how you felt when you were doing it? And
Yeah, it was 1983.
I was 8.
You were 8, so you were born in 1975.
I was.
Oh, well, I was born in 1957, so I was 20 something in 83.
Yeah.
No, I did it with somebody else who was guiding. I tried with friends. I would say, I want to try a new technique with you, which involves guided imagery with a little bit of relaxation at first, to help you unlock a problem you might have. Try to choose a work-related problem because that's what I'll be doing next week at Shell or Exxon or whatever company you work for. So you just try it with friends, and then you ask for feedback. Were you able to do it? Was I good at getting you to relax? Relaxation, if you don't know it, just do the breathing. Ask people to breathe very deeply. And the whole key about relaxation is that people have to get out of their mindset. So ask them to be just a little bit. You see when the sun shines through a window and you see the little particles of dust? I've seen that. Okay. Ask them to be a little particle of dust that goes into the body and revolves inside into the lungs and here and there, and I don't know the physiology of that, and come in and come out. So if they get their mind into being that little particle of dust, they'll relax in 5 minutes, less. Just breathe very deeply and just imagine you're the air coming in. If they have trouble doing that, say, imagine a little particle of dust floating there, and you just absorb it and it goes in. And so you don't even need to read Eugene Gendlin's book and practice, or the sensory one. Just make a list of 20 questions of things that everybody has tried and that involve the senses. Everybody has tasted a strawberry, and it has a very special taste. And if we talk about maple syrup, then we're talking about Canada, and you've probably never tried it, and if you tell me about that thing, that yeast-based Marmite, how's it
Yeah,
called?
Marmite, that's right, yeah.
Well, I had the luck or unluck of having tried it, so I didn't like it. But most people don't know what you're talking about. So
Yeah.
you have to find international things, but it's not hard to make a list of 20. I never make a list. I want to challenge myself while I'm doing to find new things. And people really relax because what you're doing is you're getting their minds off um, all the noise that we usually have. And
Are there any common issues with running this that you have to kind of get over? Are there people that react negatively against it when you start? That there's a trick to kind of bring them back on side, so you can get through the process, or
no, I never had any negative feelings towards it. Uh, I um, I explained to them first what the exercise is, and I learned by experience that some companies or countries are very uptight, and they look very much about form. Form is more important than content. I don't do it, so I choose my audience. I tried to do it once in Chile, and I learned my lesson. So I never again do it in Chile. And so it has to be people who uh, wouldn't mind getting in touch for 5 minutes with what's nagging them, not at a personal level, at a work level. Most people are. And I tell them, we will do an exercise of guided imagery whereby you will be experiencing some relaxation. Nobody will touch you. So then if I tap somebody, I have to tell them, I won't touch you unless you snore, or I don't touch them at all. Nobody will touch you. You can stop participating at any time. You just stand up and sit somewhere. And what we'll do is a little bit of relaxation. I tend to say this is not hypnosis because it is not. But if you say a word, this is not. You sound like a politician. I mean, you cannot use a negative. You use a negative, and they think, oh, it is, and he's lying to me. No. So
but you could say this is not hypnosis, and I'm not a politician. So then they trust you again.
yes, that would work. And no, I don't find any negative. I find every so often someone who says, I wasn't able to do it. But then I wasn't able to relax or I wasn't able to feel that I got to the other side. But that happened once to me. And what I did, it was in a company that I was going there once or twice a week. And then I had a talk with this person about his particular problem finishing a task, and there were other problems there. But no, usually there are no issues. So how do you start? I would start practicing relaxation and the whole exercise with friends. I would ask them how they felt, what I can improve. I would take an assistant with me the first time I do it, and and that's it. It works.
And then just jump in. And does it find? Do you find that you have a stronger relationship with the group after it as well? I can imagine that.
Definitely, yes. I mean, you've helped them get rid of a burden. They know that the company is supporting them. They know that you're good, you're very professional, and they trust you, and they come to you with their problems, and it works.
Yeah, I could see that. I could see that. I'm dying to try this. I just need to find a willing audience now.
Well, all you need is 8 to 15 people, and that they are stuck with something, and each one can have their own problem.
Okay. Doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be a shared problem. Okay, that's good to
No,
know.
it would be very difficult to find 15 people with a shared problem. And it doesn't have to be a task. It might be a relationship issue. I don't know how to talk to my boss. I don't know how to ask for a raise or for an extended holiday or what have you. And you can give them examples. It depends. If you know the people, if you know the company, you can send a note for that saying we are going to do an exercise on overcoming a task, a burden, a situation. Just bring with you one or two. And if they bring more than one, ask them to concentrate on one. the beginning, before you start relaxation, you say, well, just pick one situation, pick the hardest. So you show trust in the method. If a person has two or three problems and they choose one that's not at the top of the list, then they will always be able to sabotage themselves, saying, yes, I was able to see myself solving this one, but what about the bigger one?
Yeah, that's true.
So,
So pick the hardest one.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then they start liking you immediately. I mean, oh boy, this guy is not afraid that I will pick my most terrible monster.
Yeah.
Always work related.
Yeah.
Because if not, somebody might come with child abuse or what have you in the past, and that's a different story.
Yeah.
So
Brilliant.
if you work related, and they'll bring something work related.
That's great. Thank you very much.
Well, you're very welcome.